Normally, I am, if you can tell, as I'm an interpreter, and so I like to talk to people, and so it feels weird for me just to sort of statically stand here. I want to talk to y'all. So my name is Ashley Ranalli, and this is my colleague, Maddie Hollis. Both Maddie and I were among the 1,000 National Park Service probationary employees fired unjustly on February 14th. Formerly, I was a school teacher, a park ranger. I was a school teacher for 15 years, a park ranger, 2 jobs for 5 of those years. I'm a daughter, I'm a sister, and I'm also a cancer survivor. And now I don't have health insurance. Maddie and I were not lazy bureaucrats who loafed around all day. We loved our jobs and we took pride in our work. We loved being park rangers. Maddie's really special to me as she and I were both national park interns in 2020. We both fought for 5 years to chase our dreams and land permanent jobs, only to have our careers taken simply for being on probation. We are able to speak to you today solely because of the support of our friends and family.
I am one of many of the federal employees who were terminated simply because we were still within our first year of our permanent positions. But as Ashley stated, we were not new to the National Park Service. I worked as a paid National Park Service employee for 3 years, not counting my volunteer work, my internships, to qualify for my permanent position, and I was terminated on Valentine's Day. And so I am here today mostly to talk about the now what. We were fired very suddenly. There's talk of potentially reinstating probationary employees who were fired outside of normal reduction in force procedures. But now what? That's the thing to talk about today, is what kind of safeguards are needed going forward for probationary employees, and what can we do to eliminate the barriers to our careers? Because truly this would not just have short-term consequences, the obvious being loss of income, loss of health insurance, but also long-term consequences on our career. For example, if we are not reinstated and we cannot find government jobs for the next 2 years, in many instances that would count as a break in service, and we would have to start from scratch in terms of the time that we both put in to qualify for our positions. And so there's many things to discuss today to talk about what can be done going forward. And so we're not just here to share our stories and talk about what happened to us, but also to talk about solutions and talk about those safeguards that we need to protect people like Ashley and myself. As a former park ranger and a huge history buff, I feel that it would not be fair to close without sharing at least one quote from a historical figure. It's what I love. It's in my nature. So this comes from George Washington writing to the Marquis de Lafayette in 1785. And he said, "Democratical states must always feel before they can see. It is this that makes their government slow, but the people will be right at last." And so what is George Washington telling us here? He's telling us that democracy, while frustrating at times, is supposed to be slow, because that allows decisions to be fully discussed and thought out before they happen. And I fear that the way that we were terminated so suddenly meant that not all of the consequences could be thought out and a plan made for people like us going forward. And so that's why we're here today. We hope that this conversation that we have with representatives later about these solutions can protect people going forward. If not for everyone standing behind me today, maybe for someone in the future.